started learning and researching about women's health purely because no one ever sat me down and taught me absolutely anything.
Hi everyone, Elle Ballard is here today with you on our Empowered Global Women in Business podcast. And I have a beautiful lady today with us as our special guest, all the way from Barcelona. Carmen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for this conversation. So, as a community lead of Oysters People Builders community, Carmen is an organizational and business psychologist and women's health mentor. She's on a mission to transform the way people see themselves, their workplaces, in the world they live in. I love your niche. I love what you do. Kind of talks to what I do as well. It's close to my heart and my passion as well. And I want to ask you, how did you start in this field as a health mentor for women? What prompted you to be in this field?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, my career has been interesting, lots of different approaches and avenues, and now it really seems to be kind of all coming together. But I've always been very curious about humans as a start. So, when I was younger, I would always be kind of observing people and asking lots of questions, questioning, why people did the things that they did and why, just lots of questions. This endless curiosity in many ways eventually led me to study psychology. And so I think that's where the kind of the beginning of this whole journey began. And that's when I started to specialize specifically in business psychology. So I was really fascinated by how much, for example, an organization can be impacting every day on people's lives, and how much, for example, just one leader can impact multitude of people as well. But yeah, so that's from the kind of from the business psychology side, and from this women's health mentor side, alongside a lot of my professional career, I started learning and researching about women's health purely because no one ever sat me down and taught me absolutely anything, right? So I think, again, it came from this curiosity of, I have this body and no one's ever taught me anything about it, about my cycle or about my hormones or about if there's anything that I need to do differently to care for my body, etc. And so I think, again, this curiosity is what led me to dive into this enormously. And that's when I really started going into the trainings. I trained as a womb healing facilitator, as a holistic women's health mentor as well. And it's just, it's a huge passion of mine. And I'm now running workshops for women and coaching essentially women to really remember their magic, because it's not even discovering, it's just
Yes.
remembering that power. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I so love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's so beautiful. So, in your journey, and when I briefly looked at your LinkedIn, I've noticed, a couple of beautiful awards that you got, and one of them was got my curiosity, and I wanted to go there, and I wanted to ask you about that. And I think that also makes you so unique too, because I've noticed you got the best short film award at the International Young Filmmaker Festival in Rio de Janeiro, which is, I think, so cool. So tell us how that played a role and how that was part of your journey and experience.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think people and humans are my passion. I just find them so interesting,
Yeah,
and I think film is such an incredible medium to access that as well, right? Through
yeah.
storytelling, through
Personalities. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And when I was younger, I went to a summer film camp essentially, and we essentially made an entire short film. So I produced
Oh, uh-huh.
this particular film with a couple of two other friends at the time. And yes, many years later, we received news that this film was shortlisted for an award, and we won the award. So it's kind of a really serendipitous moment of, you're just kind of doing something for passion and for fun, and at the end of it, it's actually something very successful and valuable. It was just a lot of fun. Essentially, is the main
Yeah.
takeaway here. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I was just curious. I'm like, oh, it's so cool and
Yeah.
unique. I have to ask about that. In your quest of building your unique career and focusing that actually stemmed from your own curiosity, which I can relate because I have never also officially learned about the intricities and just the beautiful things that our bodies
Mhm.
possess. And so this curiosity that led you to do this work, and as you're doing this work and sharing and doing workshops, and really empowering women. What are some of the lessons that you have learned that you could share with us, or maybe one big lesson?
I think there's, yeah, a million lessons come to mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What I'm particularly passionate about, really driving forwards, I guess, and that I would love to see adopted more is essentially for women to be able to tap into the incredible individual superpowers that their bodies provide for them to really reach their fullest potential. So, what do I mean by that?
Yes.
Our bodies essentially they have a built-in system that's designed to maximize our creativity, productivity, health, energy levels, athletic performance, mood, and much, much more. But what happens is we're not taught about this, so we kind of just ignore these natural ebbs and flows, right, throughout the month. So for those who menstruate, of course, they have kind of ebbs and flows throughout the month. And what we tend to do, because we don't know much about it, is that we're fighting against our body's rhythms. Oftentimes because conversations about our cycle are still perceived as very much taboo, right? In many places, in companies, or it's very hush hush and you hide things, like the typical image of someone taking a tampon and hiding it in their purse and scurrying away, it's very much hidden.
Uh,
And so something that I practice and I'd love for other women to also, learn about is cycle synchronization, essentially. So how to align your life to your cycle. So make your body work for you, right? Not against you. And we have these unique superpowers throughout our monthly cycle that we can really tap into. And I can mention just two as an example. For example,
please.
yeah. So for example, during ovulation, our energy levels, social abilities, and presentation skills absolutely skyrocket. And this shift in hormones is caused by a really big rise in estrogen. It allows you to become more magnetic. Your mood increases as well, your productivity, you're very efficient, and even your athletic performance goes up. And so this rise in hormones during ovulation, it really allows you to have almost like an extra edge to deal with the external world. So it could be friends, just socially, it could be colleagues, it could be a very serious interview that you need to prepare for, or a presentation, a podcast, what we're doing now,
You
for
tackle
example.
anything and everything. That's kind of,
Exactly.
yeah.
Anything and everything. Absolutely. It's like your superpowers are like heightened in the social aspect. And on the other hand, there's also all these superpowers in other aspects of the monthly cycle. So for example, in the luteal phase, which is after ovulation, when the egg starts to shed, your superpower is really this introspectiveness. So looking inwards, looking within, your energy starts to lower as well a little bit. You become more calm, essentially, and you become very hyper focused. You're able to really get things done that are on your to-do list, very attentive to detail. You can really tackle things, become very organized. Maybe you have an urge to clean everything all of a sudden. And so what I'm trying to get at here is that, my advice to people is get to know your amazing body. You have these incredible ebbs and flows and superpowers, and they will manifest differently in different people. Of course, these are just generalizations. But I just wish someone had taught me this at the beginning of my, well, teenage years, of course, but definitely at the beginning of my career. So I could really, reach my fullest potential on a whole other level. But yes, I'll leave it there because I could go on and on and on about this topic.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing those two. And yes, listeners, we will post LinkedIn link, how to connect with Carmen. Please connect with her. As you can hear, there's a wealth of knowledge, and I do believe, yeah, I definitely believe in that. And so thank you for sharing that. I'm now curious to even learn more about it and how I can, adopt that in my life and with my projects and everything I'm doing. Beautiful. I love it. So I'm looking forward to discussing more, maybe going deeper on that. But also because you are so diverse. And we talked briefly where you're from and where you live. And so now you're in Barcelona, but you lived in different countries. And we are on, Empowered Global Women in Business podcast. I always like to ask this question: what does it mean for you to be a woman of the world?
Many things, I think. So my parents are Spanish, but I grew up in the Netherlands, and in Italy as well, then moved to London. But yeah, I feel like I'm very European, let's
Everywhere.
say,
Yeah,
all over all over Europe in
I
that
love it.
sense. And now I live
Yeah.
in Spain as well, coming full circle. But I think to be a woman of the world, essentially, to really feel that we're all interconnected, right? So I think our experience as women, no matter our age, race, background, role in a company, or absolutely any other difference that we can find, the experience of being a woman, in all of the experiences we can imagine, I think that's this invisible thread that connects us all through the shared experience. And when I tap into that, it feels powerful, right? To really
Yeah,
think about that, it's very powerful.
it
It's a
is. Yeah.
magical concept. I grew up in lots of different places, etc. And so identity was always a big crisis, I think, for me. Who am I? Where am I from? Where do I belong? Which country, which culture, which language? Lots of confusion. And to be a woman of the world, I've really come to terms, in the last few years around honing into these differences. And these differences
Yeah.
is what makes me me. It's what makes you you. And it also allows you to connect more with other people in a way that's very profound as well. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And how does it, you being, living, having lived in so many different countries and being a woman of the world, truly, how does it help you build what you are building in your business, in your world, with
Mm.
Oysters community?
Yes, absolutely. I love this question. So, for those of you on the call that might not know Oyster, so Oyster is the employment platform to hire, pay, and care for global teams. So, we provide infrastructure that empowers organizations to create work environments where global talent can really thrive, while delivering exceptional team member experiences across the full employee lifecycle. And my role as the community lead for the Oyster People Builders community is we connect global leaders, people and culture leaders, learning and development specialists, future of work pioneers, or managers of all kind to co-create solutions of how do we effectively and successfully do remote work, right? If I've got a
Yeah.
team that's spread across the world and we're only meeting on Zoom, how can I be the best leader possible in this very specific scenario? So that's a little bit about Oyster and what I do in the community there. So we essentially, bring people together to not just connect with like-minded individuals, but also to be spearheading the future of work of tomorrow, and also to co-create solutions together, right? So everything is always workshop style. And back to your question, I think these differences in having grown up in multicultural and multilingual environments has made me really passionate to build communities, right? I think that's it kind of goes hand in hand. Can we find our own community wherever we travel?
Wherever we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what connects us is maybe our shared interest. We're here speaking. We've just been connected because of
Yeah.
a shared experience and shared interest, and that's a community in itself. So I think, yeah, I think everything goes hand in hand, and we learn the best when we learn together, and we can really make change when it's a collective, and that's why I love communities of practice.
Ah, beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, it's so important, right? And when we move places, initially we feel alone until we start building this beautiful community, and then we have communities everywhere we go, and that's so awesome. Yeah, and in today, this globalization, excuse me, globalization, right? Like how we getting so connected with each other and sitting on Zoom, the world is becoming so much smaller, so we connect so much easier and faster. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing about the company. Now I'm going to move us to the final section, which is rapid fire questions. And let me know when you're ready.
Can you ever be ready for rapid fire questions? I don't know. Let's go.
Okay, so my first question is, your favorite book name is?
So many, but I think it will have to be The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho.
Oh, I love that book. Oh,
Mm.
somebody else mentioned that book on our podcast before. And I've read it literally like 4 times in 2 languages. And I still love
There you
it.
go. There you go.
Awesome. Beach or mountains?
Beach. What that I don't even need to think about that.
Favorite international destination to visit?
That's hard. That's very hard. But I'm gonna go with the last place that absolutely blew my mind, and that was Japan. It was just incredible. I loved it. I want to go back.
Summer or winter?
Summer. That's why I moved to Barcelona.
Yeah. Not blame you. Okay, the final question. Things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
I think something recent, like very recent, is less is more. I think my personality and way of being sometimes is like, let's go and do this. And I mean, I love this and I'm excited about this. And I'm like, go, 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 go. But then I burn myself out completely, and then it's like a cycle of burning out and then going like crazy and going,
Rest and
burning
yeah.
out. Exactly. So I think something I really have seen work well in the recent months is just less is more. We can say no, we can cancel things, we can respect the normal cycle of just energy and life and menstrual cycle as well. So yes, I'm trying to implement that now. Less is more. And maybe going into autumn and winter, I'll try and keep that in mind as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Less is more seems to be the theme.
Mhm.
It's funny. Today is the second person mentioning it.
Really?
Yeah, I was at the presentation this morning that talked about this addiction to the busyness in our lives, and that the fact that less is actually more. So yeah, so it's awesome.
Oh,
So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being with us today, Carmen. It's been a pleasure. I love the work you do. Enjoy Barcelona. And again, our listeners, we will post links on our YouTube channel, also on our podcast, How to Connect with Carmen. Thank you so much, Carmen.
thank you so much. It's been a delight. Thank you for having me.